In the headlines for this hour, VTV News, Minister handled question and answer period from deputies. And Vietnam speeds up administrative reforms at border gates. And in a war news, UN bodies made united call for humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi. You're watching VTV News. Continuing the Q&A session on Monday afternoon, National Assembly deputies questions government members and head of sectors on different areas, including transport, constructions, agriculture and rural development, natural resources and environment, and industries and trade. More to follow.
Regarding environmental issues, many deputies raised concerns about illegal mineral exploitation, the relocation of people from natural disaster areas, and urban construction and renovation.
Illegal mineral exploitation is a complicated issue. What is the responsibility of the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment?
Localities where there are mineral resources have a responsibility in inspect and monitoring the situation. They have a system to detect vehicles that transport minerals. In the coming time, the ministry will continue working with localities to strictly manage and punish violations.
The Prime Minister set a target that during 2021 to 2025, 47,159 households living in disaster-prone areas will be relocated. However, only 5,000 households were relocated. What are the reasons for this slow progress?
We're reviewing to propose to the government and work with localities in order to build sustainable communities and have alternative non-structural solutions.
How to build clean, green urban areas that can adapt to climate change.
The government action plan specifies 5 groups of tasks. The first is to improve awareness on developing sustainable urban development management. Second is improving the quality of planning and planning management to meet urban development needs. Third is investment in synchronous and modern urban area construction. The 2 other tasks are to carry out specialized tasks and projects, and build policy mechanisms on urban development.
Deputies were also interested in developing transportation infrastructure and solutions to solar power development.
Key national transport projects and others must revise their implementation schedule and investment capital. Who is responsible for submitting such incorrect information? Basically, most of the projects do not need to increase their total investment or increase by a small amount. Only 3 projects in the Mekong Delta region must revise the total investment capital significantly. The main reason is the price of site clearance compensation during the survey phase is different from that during implementation.
What is the plan for issuing legal documents and solutions for solar power development?
It is necessary to encourage investment activities in off-grid solar power, promulgate direct power trading mechanisms to promote the development of electricity storage devices and markets, including competitive electricity generation, wholesale and retail markets. The Ministry of Industry and Trade has submitted to the government to promulgate a decree on rooftop solar development.
Deputy Prime Minister Trần Hồng Hà on November 5th proposed 3 cooperation recommendations in his key remarks delivered at the Forum on Driving Green Investment and Trade to jointly build global eco-civilization held as part of the ongoing 6th China International Import Expo in Shanghai, China. He affirmed that this is a historic moment for the world to quickly innovate and transition from a brown economy to green one. Therefore, countries need to strengthen international cooperation and solidarity to build an ecosystem for green investment and trade. After the forum, he toured the exhibition spaces of nearly 40 Vietnamese firms at the event, which attracts more than 150 countries, territories, and international organizations, as well as 3,400 firms worldwide. During a working visit to China from November 5th to 7th, Politburo member, Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam Central Committee, and Chairman of its Inspection Commission Trần Cẩm Tú held talk with Li Xi, member of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China and Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee's Commission for Discipline Inspection. The host and guests agreed to facilitate the regular exchange of delegations and meetings at all levels, promote exchanges and cooperation in various areas, and continue learning from each other's experience in party inspections, supervisions, and disciplines, anti-corruption, administrative reform, and mechanisms for disciplinary inspections and supervisions. They also consent to improve the quality, competence, and credibility of officials responsible for party inspections, supervisions, and disciplines in both countries. As the Vietnam government speeds up administrative reforms, localities are required to simplify administrative procedures at the border gates in a bid to facilitate export activities. These simplifications of administrative procedure is expected to create a favorable environment for businesses and boost the country exports. Our report from the Mong Cái International Border Gate, Quảng Ninh Province.
This company has exported consumer goods for 19 years. According to its representative, the customs clearance is now much easier than it was before, as the Mong Cái Border Gate Customs Branch simplifies administrative procedures.
In the past, we were required to go to local customs branches to complete customs clearance process. But now we don't have to travel much, as the customs clearance is carried out at one office.
Centralized clearance allows an approved trader to lodge at the customs office where they are established. In order to carry out this model effectively, the Mong Cái Border Gate Customs Branch merged 3 customs clearance teams. The centralized clearance has increased transparency in implementing customs procedures for import and export.
We use centralized data to help businesses complete customs clearance. Centralized clearance also facilitates our activities, as we can handle violations more quickly and easily.
This model is time-saving and in line with the government's digital transformation plan. Businesses can submit their documents and declare goods anytime and anywhere. This way, customs officers can check the information and handle customs clearance procedures more quickly.
According to the Mong Cái Border Gate Customs Branch, the centralized customs clearance model has proved efficient after 5 years of implementation. In 2018, customs clearance of imported goods took 31 hours 58 minutes, but now the process takes only 2 hours. Meanwhile, the custom clearance process of an export shipment has been cut down from 2 hours to less than 3 minutes.
The disbursements of public investment in Thủ Đức City is related to departments of Ho Chi Minh City, not only strengthening the progress of projects of Thủ Đức City, but also others of the Southern Metropolis. The statement was made by Chairman of the Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee Phan Văn Mai at the working session on the disbursement of public investments with the Standing Committee of the Party Committee of Thủ Đức City, which was held on November 6th. According to the People's Committee of Thủ Đức City, the total public investment in Thủ Đức to be implemented in 2023 is $388.4 million with 128 projects. The city had disbursed more than 6.5 trillion Vietnam dong in public investment capital, accounting for 69%. The disbursement of public investment is expected to be finished at the end of this year. Coming up next on VTV News, rice prices at record high causing concerns among farmers. Fruit and vegetable export to hit target ahead of schedule. Welcome back to VTV News. Vietnam is expected to achieve a record high in rice export this year. The Ministry of Industry and Trade forecasts that Vietnam will export approximately 8 million tons of rice, generating a turnover of around 4.5 billion US dollars. In the past 10 months, Vietnam has already exported over 7 million tons of rice, valued at nearly 4 billion US dollars. This represents a 17% increase in volume and 35% increase in value compared to the same period last year. The sharp increase in rice prices since August can be attributed to various factors, including the rice export bans imposed by India and other countries. It is predicted that export rice prices will remain high. Looking ahead to next year, the rice market is expected to remain vibrant as certain countries increase their import to ensure food security. Domestic rice prices have surged to a new record as traders want to pay more to ensure they can fulfill export orders. Currently, the rice price has reached nearly 40 cents per kilogram. Rising rice prices have caused concern among farmers in the Mekong Delta.
Thai has grown 4.5 hectares of rice in this fall-winter crop season. Thai and local farmers have never seen such a surge in rice prices.
Thanks to effective cultivation practices, rice has grown very well. Traders are willing to buy good quality and healthy rice at high prices.
These days, traders have been flocking to paddy fields where rice is about to be harvested within the next few days. In this commune, about 80% of all farmers have signed deals traders, while others remain hesitant, as they wait to see if global rice prices continue to increase.
With current selling prices, farmers can earn a profit of about $82 US. Meanwhile, production costs remain higher than the profits they earn.
According to local farmers, rising prices may affect the linkage between farmers and traders.
Rising global prices have affected domestic rice exporters, as they cannot fulfill their export orders. Many export companies have cancelled their rice export deals as they face revenue losses. Meanwhile, other companies are willing to buy rice at high prices to fulfill their orders and build trust with international contacts.
The rice price has reached nearly 40 cents per kilogram, causing hesitancy among export companies.
Global rice price has reached about $622 US per ton. In Vietnam, rice is sold at about 62 cents per kilogram. I think it's a reasonable price.
Global rice prices are on the rise, causing concern among Vietnamese farmers and rice exporters. Despite that, traders have already asked to buy and even put down deposits, as the rice harvest in the Mekong Delta draws near.
The project on developing key fruit trees in the 2025-2030 period set a target to reach fruit and vegetable exports of $5 billion by 2025. However, as of October this year, fruit and vegetable export turnover reached more than $4.9 billion, an increase of 78% against the same period last year. With the current export growth, the target of $5 billion turnover will be achieved in 2 years ahead of schedule.
durian accounts for nearly half of Vietnam's fruit and vegetable export turnover. The Vietnam Fruit and Vegetable Association forecasts that durian exports will reach 2.4 to 2.5 billion USD by the end of this year.
China accounts for 65% of Vietnam's durian exports. The signing of a protocol to export durian to China has opened a big door for exporting this fruit. The exports will be much higher.
Exports of processed fruits and vegetables also grew impressively by about 20% in high-demand markets such as the US, Europe, and Japan. However, their output only accounts for about 12 to 17% of the total fruit and vegetable output of the country. This will be the focus of the sector in the coming time.
Science and technology have become a top priority for businesses in agricultural value chains, especially those in the fruit and vegetable industry.
It's important to create a favorable environment for investors in deep processing to increase added value. There should be a focus on policy mechanisms and administrative reforms to improve the investment environment.
The sector is accelerating the exports of key products in the last 2 months of the year. Nearly 4 million tons of key fruits will be harvested. Plant quarantine violation warnings from major markets have decreased, creating a foundation for the sector to break export records.
The Lập Điền Bird Garden in Bạc Liêu province is a captivating ecotourism destination. Scientists have evaluated this place as having the largest number of bird species in the region. When visiting here, tourists will be overwhelmed by the sight of free-flying birds. More on this on the following story.
The population of nesting storks in this area has been steadily increasing for almost 30 years. The place is now bustling and noisy day and night. The 20 hectares of mangroves, originally intended for firewood, have been preserved by CE ever since the bird flocks returned.
I could have made lots of money by selling mangroves, but I chose not to. The birds can also be sold for a significant amount of money, but I choose not to capture them.
The profit from mangrove forest, as well as shrimp, crab, and fish farming, is decreasing day by day. Despite the challenging livelihood, people in this riverine area remain dedicated to nurturing the birds. However, the birds have never had to bear the burden of repaying the kindness and care they have received from people.
We are happy to see many birds flying around. We have never expected to get rich from them.
In the past, we didn't derive any benefits from the birds, and people would ask us why we kept them. Now they can contribute to ecotourism, and we are truly happy.
CE patrols every night to safeguard the birds from theft. A fertile land not only provides them with a place to roost, but also brings special happiness to the local people.
VTVgo Chugoku Cup 2023, a football tournament for Vietnamese community in Japan, took place on October 6th. This is a cultures and sports exchange to celebrate the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Vietnam and Japan. 16 amateur football teams, both Vietnamese and Japanese, were registered to participate in the competition. Hundreds of Vietnamese expatriates and local people came to the stadium to enjoy the event. At the end of the tournament, the championship belonged to the team FC 37 Hiroshima. The 4 teams with the best results also won the right to participate in the Vietnamese National Championship Cup in Japan, held in mid-December this year in Tokyo. Music and arts have become official subjects in the new general education curriculum for the first time. Cultures and artistic activities are increasingly promoted in schools, contributing to developing artistic passions with students. The newly introduced artistic programming will create future creative teams and, more importantly, a new generation with better knowledge and capacity to appreciate art.
This is an annual performance of a school drama club in Hanoi. Over the years, this activity has spread passion for art to young students.
Thanks to this, I feel more confident. It also gives me more skills that I can use for other roles on bigger stages.
Many club activities need the participation and support of teachers, the school board, and parents. So our students can enjoy and grow at the same time through the activities.
Since music and arts became official subjects, such art club models have grown stronger. Some schools have made efforts to prepare facilities and staff to teach professional arts subjects more systematically. They have also renovated specialized classrooms and invite guest teachers. Many students have revealed their talent.
It helps me see life with a more artistic perspective and develop my creative thinking. This is also a premise for me to pursue arts as my future career.
Arts help students promote their potential and develop. Thus, there will be more talents and creators contributing to make changes in a good way.
Now that the pilot schools have realized the dream of studying art at the high school level for students, more investment is needed for art education activities to develop in all schools across the country.
Coming up next on our War News, UN bodies make united call for humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. And Russia to carry on voluntary oil export cuts. International charities and United Nations agencies, including the United Nations Children's Fund, the World Food Programme, and the World Health Organization, have issued a rare joint statement calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. The statement came as escalating violence in the Gaza Strip killed nearly 10,000 Palestinians.
The heads of all major United Nations agencies issued a rare joint statement on Sunday expressing concerns over the civilian death toll in Gaza and calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. The statement also called on Hamas to release the more than 240 hostages it took in its attack and urged both sides to respect their obligations under international law. The UN and humanitarian organizations said more than 23,000 injured people need immediate treatment and hospitals are overstretched. Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes have intensified in Gaza.
Children writing their names on their bodies so that their corpses can be identified, the mother of the 3 children that were buried under the rubble. Mercy be upon the souls of the martyrs and shame on the criminals.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken held meetings with heads of state and diplomats across the Middle East. He expressed concern about increasing violence in the West Bank and reiterated support for humanitarian aid to residents of Gaza. Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt also called for international efforts to stop the war in Gaza. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu demanded that there would be no ceasefire without the return of the hostages. On Sunday, the U.S. Central Command separately released an image of a nuclear-capable B-1 bomber operating in the Middle East. It revealed that an Ohio-class submarine had deployed to U.S. Central Command's area of responsibility.
Russia announced on Sunday it would continue the additional voluntary supply cut of 300,000 barrels per day from its crude oil and petroleum product export until the end of December 2023. According to Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak, the move aims to strengthen measures taken by OPEC Plus countries to maintain the stability and balance of oil markets. Russia agreed to undertake 2 separate reductions in oil supply. In April, it decided to cut crude output by 500,000 barrels per day until the end of 2024, while in August, It said it would reduce export by 300,000 barrels per day until the end of this year. The policy will be reviewed next month when Russia will consider deepening the cuts versus increasing production. Primary schools in India capital city will remain closed until November 10th due to high pollution levels. According to Delhi Education Minister Phie Malina, for grade 6 to 12 schools are being given the options of shifting to online classes. New Delhi has topped a real-time list of the world's most polluted cities compiled by Swiss groups IQAir, which put the Indian capital's air quality index at 640, which is in the hazardous category. The central government on Sunday prohibited entry of polluting trucks and commercial four-wheelers into the national capital and banned construction work related to linear public projects in Delhi. It's been thousands of years, but much of ancient Egypt's mummification practices remain hidden in history. But now researchers are sniffing out new clues. Using cutting-edge technology, experts at Germany Max Planck Institute have successfully identified and replicated the fragments used in the mummification process of a prominent Egyptian woman. The focus of the team's research revolved around the substances employed to embalm the noblewoman Selene around 1450 BC. Denmark's Moegas Museum is revealing the smell, inviting visitors to journey back in time through the sense of smell as part of a new exhibition into ancient Egypt's fascinations with the afterlife. Tiny residual samples were extracted from 2 canopic jars, once containing the Egyptian noblewoman Selene lungs and liver. Upon examining its molecular compositions, the team discovered that the balms consisted of complex mixtures of beeswax, plant oil, fat, resins, a balsamic substance, and more. And now, as usual, let's continue with the weather forecast. And that's it for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can log on to VTVgo.vn or download our mobile application VTVgo. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.